for whom the damage could mean the difference between survival and bankruptcy, in essence. Let's talk to Andrew Cave from the Federation of Small Businesses. And I guess even with something like this or terrorism, it's not always what happens, it's what you do to mitigate that happening, which still loses you money. I mean, shops, restaurants, all the rest of it closing tonight because they don't try it.
That's right. Last night was a very lonely and traumatic time for a lot of business owners. And today, the overwhelming message that we're getting from them is a sense of anger. First of all, anger at the fact that it's happened, but secondly, the fact that they feel neglected and they feel that they haven't received the security and the support that they deserve. So it has led to businesses closing early, boarding up shops, and that will obviously have a knock-on effect even for those businesses that are not directly affected. How much do you estimate has been lost this week so far? It's extremely difficult to put a figure on that at the moment. We are hearing from the insurance industry that £100 million, around that kind of figure, has been put on the problems so far. But it will take a long time to ascertain an exact figure. What we're saying to members is that they must, if they have been affected by this, put in their insurance claim as soon as possible. At the moment, they have to claim within 14 days, and we're calling for that period to be extended. And beyond that, we're calling for the appropriate funding to come into place to ensure that every business that has been affected is put back on its feet and it can open up again. Andrew Cave, thank you very much. Thank you. Well, that's all we have time for this hour. The 6 o'clock news is starting shortly. There'll be 16,000 police on duty in London tonight and 1,000 more deployed in cities throughout the country. The rioting of the last 3 days has been described by the Metropolitan Police as the worst in current memory, has devastated parts of the capital. Let's look back at some of the images we brought you over the last 24 hours.
I'm scared. It's just foolishness. It's just people looking for an excuse to make trouble.
Stand and watch! What do you say, then?
This is a public order warning. Will all members of the public please disperse now or force may be used?
People have been openly looting this area for an hour, 2 hours at least since I got here, and the police are seemingly ineffectual.
Very good evening to you. Just before we head up to 6 o'clock, a quick look at the weather for you, and it's a fine and dry evening out there across many parts of the country. A bit of sunshine around, but it will be all change as we go into the night-time period as rain clouds start to loom large, particularly across Northern Ireland during the first part of the night. Not only turning wet here, but increasingly windy, and that wet weather will spread across much of Scotland, into Northern England and also across parts of North Wales. Further south it stays dry. Temperatures will take an initial dip with skies clearest for longest in the southeast corner, but for many a milder night than recent nights. But it will be a wet rush hour across the northern half of the country. Throughout the day, heaviest the rain, western Scotland and parts of northwest England. The rain will come and go elsewhere, but always remaining that little bit dry across the south. Bit of sunshine here, temperatures up to around 23 degrees. Further north will cool, particularly where we've got the rain, and some pretty strong winds to end the day, gusty to the east of the Pennines. As we go into Thursday, still lots of cloud across the country, even the chance of some rain further south, but temperatures where the sunshine breaks up to around 22 degrees. Sophie Raworth has the BBC News at 6 next.
Tonight, thousands of extra police drafted onto the streets of London to try to prevent a fourth night of riots. Last night saw the worst violence for a generation as the flames destroyed businesses and homes across the capital. For the first time, the clashes spread outside London to other major cities. The Prime Minister's given this warning to the rioters.
You will feel the full force of the law. And if you are old enough to commit these crimes, you are old enough to face the punishments.
Amid the tangled wreckage, there's sharp criticism of the police and the parents whose children are out of control.
It's absolutely disgusting. They are feral rats. What are those parents doing? Those children should be at home. They shouldn't be out here causing mayhem.
Caught on CCTV, the police released the first images of suspected rioters and vow to track them down. And tonight, officers get ready in case there's more trouble. Also on tonight's programme, after £5 trillion is wiped off global share prices in just 10 days, stock markets start the fight back. And George Gallagher in Kenya with a special report on the women and children facing the African famine.
And in sport, the riots in London have forced England's game against the Netherlands at Wembley to be called off. Several Carling Cup fixtures have also been postponed.
Good evening. Welcome to the BBC News at 6. Thousands of extra police are being deployed on the streets of London this evening as they try to prevent a repeat of last night's violence. The Prime Minister, who's cut short his holiday, has warned those who left a trail of destruction right across the capital and 4 other cities that they will face the full force of the law. He also announced that Parliament will be recalled on Thursday to discuss the riots. London was hardest hit last night, the worst riots in living memory, according to the police, with buildings destroyed and 1 man shot dead. But for the first time since the trouble began on Saturday, the violence spread outside the capital to Birmingham, Bristol, Liverpool and Nottingham. More on that in a moment. But first, our special correspondent, Alan Little, reports on the London riots.
Even before nightfall they began, the violence striking in its daylight brazenness. This is Hackney in East London. Already it was clear that the police, for all the efforts of those on the ground, were not equal to the task that lay ahead. The escalation was rapid, alarming